Hi all, welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Apologies for this not being up yesterday or even earlier today. We've got, first off, some admin to kind of get sorted. We are sorting out sponsors. We've got two to sort out and hopefully get two sponsors in that's good money, because we want to kind of put a bit of time into working the development stuff, so try to work out upgrades and so forth, but also improve other elements of the team. One of our teams that sponsor we've had before, kind of just sticking with them because they've been consistent, but also the money pays actually quite well. Now I was looking at who else to go for. I'd been with Sally, and the big problem with them is like the 100 laps, and I thought I don't really like how it's going because we don't do 50%, we do 25%. And I don't really do enough enough practice to kind of do it, and usually even with qualifying there's no guarantee. So I was looking at like Zigzag, I looked at XXY, I looked at a couple others, but I've decided to go with Zigzag for now. I know a few go with like Pay Night, for example, as well as another good one, so obviously we'll update the car with all the update sponsors, because I think when you remove the when you change sponsors, or if you've maybe renewed it, I think sometimes it takes it off. I might be wrong, so I'll get Zigzag at the back. I'm going to have to also mind, and I'll try and remember to make sure that the overalls have the sponsors as well. I'll quite make sure of that as well. That's something I'll try and remember. I'll try and remember one of the races. But balance is quite healthy, 3.29 million. The Vries is settling in. Obviously, one thing I am really bad for, and now I've started to realise this, is, as you can tell, things are wearing out. I am quite bad where I think some people rely on using one just solely for practice and say qualifying, and then they'll use a race one. I think for this season, if we can stretch the 3 out, I think I'm going to I'll probably take penalties maybe around Suzuka, maybe like that kind of period. I'd like to see even Singapore. I'd maybe even ponder a penalty, but I'll see how things play out, because I really I don't want to go one race where I'm using completely knackered gear that is not going to last the race or even last practice or qualifying. The engine power is a big thing that we want to work on as well, but we're trying to have this to keep building up the resource points just now, and because obviously morale is quite good, it helps. Engine power is kind of our big thing that we need to work on. If we get that improved, I would say for Monza, I think Monza's probably roughly looks like it's going to be done by, or near enough. If we can get that in for Monza or Singapore, then I'll be happy. But the team is definitely starting to just improve slightly, and we need to put a bit of money into other the departments, get resource points up, get upgrades taking less time, and decrease the failure rate. But I think what I've noticed with a few of the others I've been watching is improving your resource point generation. Makes a big difference. Now obviously for things in general, I really want to put a bit of effort into improving the Vries, so I'm going to use as many of these as I can. Now looking at everything, I would say give 5 days attention to De Vries, and then team building for level 4 seems most logical in between now and the Hungarian Grand Prix, and then we're laughing for there. It benefits De Vries massively, and things are coming in, which helps. Obviously the money that we keep bringing in is handy, so things sticking off rather nicely. So we're going into the Hungarian Grand Prix in a minute, but for me, I just want to see if there's anything else we can kind of improve just now. We'll go with that. And because the chassis is one of our weakest elements, so try and improve that as best we can at all costs helps. Right, so Hungary is a track though for me. I am another one of these hit and miss tracks. It's like Catalonia, it's like a few others where sometimes I can be okay, like practice. We were actually struggling with the qualifying and race pace challenges, whereas we were nailing down the ERS and tyre management and so forth. We were nailing them down pretty well, but the qualifying pace we just couldn't nail down. Like, we could not nail anything down, or race strategy, and I was like, what on earth am I doing wrong here? And then it kind of hit me. I had like the wrong setup on the car. So when I was going into corners, I was just always I'm always quite bad for Hungary, for where I will go quite wide, say here for example, or there's like too many sections of the track where I do go too wide, and I'm always playing catch up. I'm always having to rectify my mistakes, and I feel like this is one of these tracks where my cornering lets me down, and I'm always trying to think it's like try to rectify it. So it was like that was what I spent it. So it was like P1, P2. I was like, right, let's get it addressed, hopefully get nailed down. We just snuck in to Q2, sorry. The Vries done alright, not too bad, P19, but snuck in the back door, and I thought, right, it's brightened up a wee bit more, it might suit me a little bit better. Q2, like, realistically I wasn't expecting Q3, like, I don't expect Q3. Like, for me, Hungary's one of these tracks where, like, if I can even just get finished and get a point, I'll be happy. Like, I don't expect much. I never do around Hungary, because there's too many sections of the track where I will either bin it or I just lose control. And I just don't have, it's not necessarily the ability, it's just more, I think it's confidence, and possibly like to like maybe set up and just kind of like other elements like positioning, as it were. Positioning is pretty key on this track. If you don't nail it down, you're playing catch up from the beginning. I've watched quite a few streams, especially, and videos of Hungary, of like the top drivers in Hungary, and the mistakes they make is very, very minimal, whereas I'm making quite a few mistakes here and there and whatnot. We nearly got in. We actually qualified 11th. I don't know how. I genuinely don't know how I got 11th out of that, but yeah, so we got 11th when we did not expect it, so I will take that regardless. But the interesting part was seeing like Renault and others just really starting to be very, very impressive. 15-15 for the rivalry. It's neck and neck. It's going to be hard to say who edges it, but yeah, De Vries, hopefully with a bit more time and effort into him, we can get his team acclaim up to like our level and be laughing, and hopefully finally maybe get him one day into our second driver into the points. That's kind of what we hope for. So we'll get into the race, folks, and we'll go from there. So sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy this race ahead.
Today at the 2.7-mile Hungaro Ring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left. on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Albon, Sebastian Vettel and Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Graham and Pierre Gasly, Grosjean, Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Ocon, Raikkonen, Kvyat, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nick de Vries. Norris, they've taken a grid penalty. Magnussen, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Right, so we are starting 9th, which we genuinely did not expect, so we're going to go in the softs and the mediums. Obviously, fuel, we're trying to work a bit more into ensuring we've got a lot less fuel and working off a lean setup, which to be honest for Hungary for me is probably quite a wise tactic, because I'm generally usually opting that approach. So 5 red lights, starting in 9th, see if we get a good start. Racing Point I think is going to be the real dangers for us in this race, looking at it, and Renault actually for that matter. So we're going down the inside. Oh, can we get out clean? Well, we nearly got ahead of Ricciardo there, but there's a solid first. Oh, I nearly rammed the back end of Ricciardo there, sorry, of Ricciardo Renault, get the words right, got my order wrong, I was going to say Renault's Ricciardo. That would have been all we need, but yeah, just settle down and make sure that fuel don't burn too much too quick. But this is early promise here, sorry, even like defensively this should be a lot stronger than I usually am, because it's quite a good circuit to be defensive in. But the problem is I will make too many mistakes, like nearly just there. I nearly came back. See, I probably touched Gasly when I came back onto the track, so we've probably just collided just marginally. I've just got to be wary of that in this race. But Ricciardo's pace does not look 100% there, so we definitely look like there is potential to take him if I'm patient enough. But yeah, we'll settle down and try and get as much use out of the softs as we can. Try not to make mistakes like that. Right, so pit stop wise we are a little bit longer than we'd like, 3 seconds, but a big reason for that is actually because of Perez. Couldn't really do anything about that. We weren't too far off colliding in a sense as well, but Verstappen's coming in hot as well, so a 3-car battle round the first bend. Just got to be wary here that we don't do anything silly. Saying that, yellow flag, green flag, yellow flag, right? Did Verstappen try and take us out there? I'm not sure. Like, I know there's a bit of a delay. Like, I've not had anything. Oh, I've got a retirement safety car. Yeah, it would always be something. And it's actually for Russell instead. So safety car for the next few laps, we'll get settled in. Just ease up the fuel for there. Right, now we're starting to get interesting territory again. Perez and Ricardo definitely are here for the taking. In a sense they are, because obviously we've got so much fuel that we saved up. We've just got to be wise and not do anything silly. So if we can be smart and just utilise the right kind of strategy here, if a gap presents itself on one of the smart corners rather for overtaking, then I've got to do it. And yeah, we've got a long way to go though, but we're green for the first sector, which was fine. If we can keep that up for the rest, I'll be quite happy, but at the moment just got to get these silly mistakes out the road. But definitely under pressure for Sainz, so I've just got to watch myself. Sainz and Ocon definitely are lurking quite heavily here, so I've just got to be wary of how this race plays out. But all may go still, and it'll be fun and games to be had anyway. Perez and Ocon are Sainz and Ocon. Even Perez is miles. We ain't catching him. He's out the equation, I would say. But Sainz and Ocon definitely are what potentially could hamper us from getting P6. And we've went a wee bit wide there. It might be not too bad because Sainz is not taken us quite yet. We've went out wide line. Oh, yellow flag! Oh my god! I think he tried to take us. So what I've done is I've thought, let's have a look at this footage again. Let's see what happened. So we've went out. We've kept wide. Sainz has literally just drove right into us. Like. I honestly don't know what is going on here. Going by, Sainz has just stayed inside, and he's mangled the front wing. Like, I don't know what he's doing in that situation. Like, I've tried to stay at the racing line. I think I've even, like, yes, I've got to straighten up, but at the same time he's just literally no care whatsoever, and he's completely and utterly binned it. Here's from another angle. But yeah, I thought it was perfectly in the right, but you guys can let me know in the comments, is Sainz in the wrong? Like, I've just tried to stay as far out as I can, because I thought yes, I'm coming over a little bit, but not enough where I would have been like, Sainz is not straightened up, he's literally just trying to drive into the racing line. So we got a warning there, which was a bit annoying, but as I said, I genuinely did not see that as my fault. Now, as you've probably noticed throughout the race, Hamilton and Bottas never pitted till quite late, and they are still miles behind us, but they keep setting them fastest laps. Now, with them pitting where they are, and this is why we're in P6, so right away they have, like, for the title, quite potentially thrown it away with the strategy here. I might be wrong, obviously, there's still a long way to go, but it's strategies like this is where it's maybe not been so fruitful for them, because it's going to be hard enough for them to work through the field, and yes, there's a decent amount of overtaking points here, but there'll not be enough to be giving them a chance to say, right, we can get like 18 and 15 points respectively, because they might have to, or 15 and 12, because they might have to accept that, say, the Ferraris and Red Bulls are just a little bit quicker on this occasion. I think obviously it would be maybe you could even throw other teams into the mix this time, because like obviously you've got a Racing Point in front of us in Perez, you've got a Renault and Ricciardo, so your top three could be, I've not really been paying too much attention to, because I've just mostly just settled down and worried about who's behind us and made sure that we are driving the best that we can to keep like our mid tier battles with like Racing Point and Alfa Romeo and Renault kind of competitively. Even like Gasly's had a good race. Like the AlphaTauris are not as strong as, like, I would say, as us in some departments, but like when you look at our car, that like our durability is kind of like one of, like, our durability and our power is like two of our strongest points, but then it's like our aero and our chassis where we are hopeless in regards. Like only Williams is realistically weaker than us. But at the final lap, as long as we don't do anything silly, we've got P6 in the bag. Like, if you'd said that to me before the race, I would have probably taken your hand off for it, because I knew I'd have to rely on fundamentally a safety car. That's kind of what I was needing. Safety car was a situation, but you've also got to remember, I didn't expect Hamilton and Bottas to muck up strategy, and I didn't expect Verstappen to muck up either. So a lot of things have really went our way in this race, and Leclerc has won the race, but that is the least of our worries as we come round to the start finish line, and P6 for the Hungarian Grand Prix gets us a good healthy amount of points onto the board, keeps the pressure on everyone else around us. Definitely like that. Danny Kvyat, driver of the day. But yeah, that race, the Sainz crash is definitely still a funny one for my liking, but no matter. So Ferrari mopping up there, fair play to them. With Leclerc winning, I think Leclerc and Vettel in this save have definitely been very, very competitive. Mercedes not as competitive as I thought it would be, like not as say like clinical, like not mopping up. So it's Leclerc, Albon and Vettel first, second and third. So Albon having a good drive in Hungary, so fair play to him, because he's been competing with us fun enough as well for points. So the 18 that he'll earn here will probably do him wonders. So we've got to obviously kind of up our game maybe a little bit, but long way to go still, but we're definitely doing our bit, and hopefully we can get De Vries some points so it helps constructors as well. But yeah, that was a mental race in the end, if I'm honest. De Vries was unlucky there actually, finishing 12th, and as you can see, like it kind of showed why things went awry, because obviously the Mercedes of Hamilton and Bottas bottoming like near the bottom. Magnussen got a penalty, so it was a bit chaotic this race in all honesty. Sainz finishing basically last of the finishers. But hopefully you enjoyed this, folks. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Sainz crash, what the race you thought in general, and everything else around it. But it was definitely a mental race. Smash the like, so always, sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter, use legend, and I'll catch you all later.